Hey, I'm here with, I'm going to say entertainer, Michael Mott, because you have a lot of balls in the air, shall we say. You started out in one direction in your career and then you kind of went down another path. Why don't you talk a little bit about when you first wanted to be a part of the entertainment industry, when you knew it was going to be something that was actually going to be a feasible career for you?
Okay, so I first realized that I wanted to do this by watching Saturday Night Live. And so I was about 16 years old and was enamored with SNL, and I thought, I can do that. And so I started making my own Saturday Night Lives in my basement. And I had a teacher in high school say, you need to audition for the school musical. I was like, I don't do musicals, I don't sing. Meanwhile, like I grew up on The Elephant Show and Sharon Lois and Bram, and I loved singing and Billy Joel and Mariah Carey and the radio, but I didn't really know about the theater world. And then I got cast in The Sound of Music. It was all uphill.
I was going to say
uphill and downhill, but
And now you went to Ithaca College,
I went to Ithaca, for musical theater. And I got into musical theater my sophomore year of high school, and then by the end of junior year, I was like, I'm going to major in this. So it was kind of a quick. It was a quick decision, but I couldn't see myself doing anything else.
And after you graduated, you moved here to the city to pursue acting?
No, after I graduated, I actually was cast the summer, my junior year of college, I was cast at Busch Gardens with Jeremy Jordan, and we lived together at Busch Gardens.
Oh,
and
wow.
And so after college, I got hired back. I think he got hired back. Wouldn't it be great if Jeremy Jordan didn't get hired back?
That would be fantastic.
We'll just say that.
He's doing all right now anyway, so.
Yeah, but at the time he couldn't book Busch Gardens, so. No, but I went back and we were living together in New York as well. And so he was responsible for getting an apartment. And so he got a bed. He got my bed, got his bed. He did all the work, but I went to Busch Gardens and I worked there for 6 months. And then I was like, what am I doing? I need to go back to New York. So I moved to New York in November of 2007.
And then you pursued acting while you.
I did musicals, and I auditioned, and I did tours and regional shows. I did a ton of regional shows. I did tours. I did international thing. I did a bunch of readings and workshops and recordings, and then I decided in 2012 that I wasn't fulfilled performing anymore because I felt like I was using a percentage of myself, and I didn't know what that was. But I was like, this just doesn't feel right, and I don't know why. And I had always been writing. And I just decided I was at Merry-Go-Round Playhouse in Auburn, New York, and Jeff Tice, who's now the musical director of Faustus and one of the arranger of Faustus, he said he heard a song from Faustus being played by myself in a church, and he was like, "What is that? That's really good." I said, "No, I don't know. I write, but I don't know what I'm doing." And then that took off.
And lo and behold, here you sit, CD in hand.
Right. CD in hand.
That just came out.
Where the sky ends.
A year ago today.
A year ago today,
yeah.
I know.
How random, right?
Seems like, I know.
You were fated to do this interview.
It was fated. This is all of my original music and lyrics sung by TV and film stars, including, let's see, Zachary Levi and Justin Guarini and Jeremy Jordan and Ben Fankhauser and Laura Osnes and Sarah Bogus.
You can't get rid of this Jeremy Jordan character. He's he won't leave you alone.
He was the ticket for me getting this made because I used his name to get everyone else involved. And Laura, I had Laura and Jeremy at first, and then I went to Broadway Records with the idea, and they were like, well, if you can get stars, yeah, we'll do it. And I was like, well, I'll get stars. And I said, Jeremy Jordan's doing it, and this person's doing it, and then, they all came. So I'm very lucky. It's a great group of people, and I couldn't be happier with it. And they all gave 1,000% in the booth. They were just like, are you happy? Is that good? Is that okay? Like, yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy you even said yes. Yeah. So it was great.
What was it like for you to have that realize that you were going to actually have a CD be out there?
I didn't know it was a dream until it happened. Now all I want to do is make records and record music. And sadly, it's a dying art form. Very few people want to buy music; they just want to stream it. And there's no money in it, sadly. But I've never felt like my full creative potential was reached until I made a record, because it's tangible and it's something that lasts forever and can give you pleasure in entertainment and joy for years and years and years and years and years and forever. It's it's infinite. And so I love being able to make music this way and then also get on stage and do concerts. And then I felt like that kind of came full circle with the performing thing, because I knew I wanted to perform, I didn't know how, but acting wasn't right for me. And this just feels like what I should be doing.
When you first started out doing musical theater, did you think at the time this was going to be what you were going to do forever, or did you even have back then a little inkling that...
I knew it was going to be forever, but I knew that it was going to be a meld somehow of the music of the Broadway world, but also the radio. And I actually do not believe that they should meld, believe it or not. I love them each for what they are, but I don't believe that you should put a pop song on stage, and I don't believe Broadway should be on the radio. I mean, it's great if it is, but I do not try to make them one. If that happens, cool, but I feel like they're just so completely separate that it's odd for them to be one. But I always knew that I wanted to somehow make those two work. I just didn't know how.
And now you've also written your own musicals. What was that? That obviously is a different, beast than writing a song.
Right. Musicals is the hardest thing in the world, especially because I have nothing against adaptations at all, but I prefer to write an original show. And my first show I wrote was actually called, it's actually right now in the process of being optioned to come to New York, so fingers crossed that happens, because it's been a long road. It was originally called The Life of a Mob Wife, and I wrote it when I was 16 at the New York State Summer School of the Arts. And it was the worst thing ever, but the concept was, I thought, pretty good, and it's the exact same concept it is today. But I didn't know what I was doing. I just thought, I can write a musical. And now, take that same concept, hire an actual book writer, and not me, and I, completely rewrote the music and lyrics again. And that show has legs now, and that's happening. We're in talks for a bunch of different things for that show. And then I finished that 30-minute musical. We did it at my high school. Actually, no, that's a lie. It was a full-length musical. It was like 90 minutes, but no intermission. And we did a recording of it. I mean, even at 16, I knew that that's what I was wanted to do. I made a recording with that cat. It was all high schoolers, but my high school produced it. And I finished that, and then I decided I was going to write a musical adaptation of Dr. Frankenstein. And that was terrible. That didn't go anywhere. But the collaborator who wrote the book to that eventually brought up the musical idea of Faustus and taking the play and adapting that at first. And that's when I realized that I wasn't good at adapting, and so we kind of came up with our own story that was influenced by those characters, but was our own original story. That show now is like 90% done, and that looks like it's going to have a life overseas, actually, which is cool.
Very cool. So it looks like you have nothing going on whatsoever.
Well, it's funny because those shows are done. They've been done. Like, they're just sitting on a shelf waiting. And so I have a bunch of other things. I just was hired to do. A team from LA wrote a musical, and they hired a couple people from New York to come and kind of clean up the show and fix it and change it. And so we've been working on that for the past 3 weeks, and we're working on it all summer, and we have a presentation of it already slated this October, and it's called Lucifer. Was the working title, and it's the story. Now it's actually called Lucy, but it is the story of the Bible according to the devil, which we decided to make a woman. And so it's a very interesting concept, and I have this crazy dark musical. I've realized, like, this is the most hopeful CD you'll ever hear, and then these musicals, they're not hopeful, but they're all dark. A musical about Dr. Faustus and the devil selling his soul to the devil. A musical about a woman putting a hit on her husband, who's the head of the mob, and then him putting a hit on her because he finds out and he's mad at her. And then a musical about the Bible through the devil's eyes. I have this like very interesting dark streak, and I'm not a dark person, but I'm very attracted to the mystery and the mysterious, sinister world, and things that are a little bit taboo, I find very interesting to write about.
So now
But I'm a positive person, I promise.
he's got a knife under.
I'm holding it.
So now that you're fully immersed in this, obviously in your songwriting, is there a chance that you would go back to acting, or I mean, unless it was like,
Yeah, if someone wants to offer me a role, here I am.
yeah.
I can't tell you, I was in for Jersey Boys back in the day, a bunch. And they're like, you're too tall, too fat,
For Frank,
too young.
too fat for Frankie,
Listen,
or
I was a big boy. I still have, please, that's a whole other issue. This could turn to therapy if you wanted to. But no, I was much bigger before, and then I diet, exercise, blah blah blah, whatever.
is that your voice range for Frankie Valli, or were you in for someone else?
I was in for first Frankie, but then I was way too tall. I had red tape on the door when you walked in, and then I was in for Tommy, but I was way too young and like not jacked at all. So that didn't work out. And I was just like, the thing about acting was I felt like my destiny was in everyone else's hands. And the thing that I love about writing is that I want to make this, and I'm gonna go make it, and no one's gonna tell me that no, that I mean, obviously there's people you have to answer to, but
Right.
it's a completely different circumstance. I'm not waiting for someone to hire me. I'm just gonna create it and put it out there. So that for me is much more fulfilling, and I feel like I'm using my whole self, if that makes sense.
Thus far, what has been the most fulfilling part of your career?
Definitely
up
this
to
album.
the album?
Definitely this album. But if this stuff comes true with Mob Wife, that will take that over, and then if the stuff comes true with Faustus, that'll take. I mean, it'll just. What seems to be the plan right now, the trajectory right now, they could all keep on topping each other, which would be fantastic.
Well, that is
But
great.
if I were to die today, I would feel like I'm very proud of this, and I feel like it's a good representation of who I am and what I do.
Well, let's hope that doesn't happen, or this could be your
Let's hope
last.
I don't die.
This could be your last interview,
This
posted
could be.
posthumously.
It could be. Yeah,
There goes that dark side again.
no. Yeah, I'm really a positive person.
Yeah.
Talking about death. Okay.
What advice would you give to people who are just starting out in the industry, or even your younger self at this point, now that you know where you are today?
Well, the first thing that pops in my mind is the most cliche thing in the world, but I didn't really fully understand it until this past. I've been in New York. It'll be 8 years this fall. Figuring out, knowing if this is exactly what you want to do, because if it's not, go do something else. Because there's no money. It is the hardest profession to succeed and to get anywhere. But on the flip side, I know that I can't do anything else, and I don't want to do anything else. And I would rather struggle and be poor and put things out there and climb my way to get where I have to go, because I'm happy and I'm fulfilled doing this. It's not about, for me, it's not about I mean, you have to pay your bills, but
Right.
it's not about. I don't want to be the richest person in the world. I don't care about that. I don't need to be recognized walking down the street. That's not what my goal is. My goal is literally to write and make music and to have it recorded and put out in the world, or shows, or just that kind of expression, and just create. So you have to know that that's exactly what you want to do, or perform, or direct, or stage manage, whatever it is in this field. But the flip side to that is that if you do it, it's the best thing in the world. The money is great, and that when that comes, that's incredible. But it's not about that. It shouldn't be about that. It should be about the work, creating.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your
Thank
schedule
you.
to do
No,
this, and
thank you for inviting me.
got an infectious attitude. So more people should be like you.
Oh,
and
thank you. I appreciate it.
Probably get a lot further in life.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.